Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Frenchman Coulee. Are we functional? D. Spolsky says yes. Okay, we've got a little bit going here. Let me just play here for just a second. Well, this will have to do for now. I'm kind of, well, there's all sorts of things to say. So first things first, are we doing okay? There's a slight breeze, but you're going to have to deal with that, I'm afraid. I can't walk around with a cardboard box around the phone. So Judy says we're 5 by 5. I don't really understand how much of a delay we have. Oh, Russell, good. Excellent audio and visual. That's terrific to hear. Good. Wonderful. Well, that you early birds, that's our plan. Oh, I forgot. I don't even have my Timex clock with me. So, welcome. It is 5:47 p.m. here in Pacific time zone on the west coast of North America, and we will begin, 5:48, we will begin our program on Frenchman Coulee, from Frenchman Coulee, at 6 p.m. So thank you for joining us this evening. This is live stream number 52, I believe. And yet this is our first time trying this out in the field. So of course I am a little bit antsy about quality, about streaming, about buffering. And before I do a little bit more testing with you, let me show you the schedule for the rest of the week. So last night we had a session on ice cores from the backyard. It was a windy evening. Susan Kaspari was our guest. Her family eventually joined us. Gorilla Man made an appearance. Turns out Gorilla Man was a gorilla woman. A gorilla woman and her daughter who drove over from the Seattle area, got into the Sasquatch outfit, made the appearance in the alley. The daughter drove the getaway car back out of the Sasquatch outfit back to Seattle. It's a 2-hour drive each way. So, thank you for your dedication, Sasquatch woman. I'm sorry that we called you a gorilla. Our bad. Tonight we're talking about Frenchman Coulee. Tomorrow night we're talking about Saddle Mountains. Not very far away from here, by the way. Saddle Mountains in central Washington. Saturday morning, George Otis Smith. Sunday morning, what does that say? Pacific Northwest tectonics. That's right. Okay, so I got a little bit of breeze I'm dealing with, so I've got spare rocks available. You want to look out the back quick? So you're looking at Agatha Tower, which is one of many popular climbing routes. I'm going to save that. I'm going to save the good stuff. Assuming we're still streaming after the top of the hour, so I don't want to give away the good stuff. I know you'll stick with us. Let's see, what else do I want to try with you? So is the audio any different than what we've had in the front porch and in the backyard? I mean, I'm pretty much as close to similar distance, I think, from you guys. So how is the audio? Jason says the audio is good. Jason, you're not far away up there in Wenatchee. Yeah, you're going to hear a little bit of wind. I'm sorry, it's a field trip. Okay, it's about as calm as we get out here. I've got the place pretty much to myself. There's a couple climbers over there. Met a couple folks down in the parking lot. Kind of tucked away behind this rock tower. So I'm not going to be too sympathetic if you hear a little bit of wind. But I guess I asked how the sound is, right? So I'm sorry. So you used a little bit of wind, but for the most part, we're good sound-wise. And as soon as, so I thought I maybe would do this first part with the program. I'm very loose tonight again, by the way, as you might expect. Thought maybe I'd do stuff right by the van, but the van is down low by the road, and there was like 2 bars and then even 1 bar, and I was all despondent. I'm like, is this even gonna work? So I walked 10 minutes up here, and it felt like I got that 3rd bar. And I can't see the bars now, but I assume I'm on that. So video quality with 3 bar. Oh, it's freezing a little bit, Susan. Is everybody having a little bit of buffering? I'm going to hold off because this is quite important here. So video's okay. Let me ask it differently. How is the video quality different than the backyard? Same. That's great news. No different. That's great news. That's great news. Now, we are going to take a little walk, and this hole that's behind us here, I know that's a problem. I've had students out here before, and they all, so if we get into that, if we get the base of that wall, we're going to lose the signal. I guess I'll share that with everybody at the top of the hour. So I'll try to stay out of that hole, but we are going to walk. And hey man, we might lose each other for a while, but I'm a pro at that. How many of these live streams have we had a temporary halt or a complete halt? Quite a bit. I don't know, less than 6 or 7, I guess. But I feel experienced enough that I think we're okay. Now, we still have 5 minutes. I'm going to try to control your comments here. I can do that. Oh, wow. Okay. So I obviously don't have my laptop, and so when we get to some live Q&A, which I hope we can do up on the top, I can only see about 2 or 3 comments at a time, but I can scroll. I think up on top it'll be great. The wind might be up a little bit, but I have no I'm confident that our streaming will be good up on top. And you'll just have to wait to see what I mean by up on top. Joint Base Lewis McCord. I'm hip to you now, Jeremy. Right. Okay, let me just play a little bit more because it looks like. So you tell me if you have any buffering stuff when I start turning this camera around, please. Oh yeah, I was going to practice zooming. I got some help with the zoom, and I'm pretty confident I can't zoom when I'm live streaming. I can zoom when I'm using my regular video camera on the phone. Let's see, what was that? Oh yeah. Oh shit. Sorry, Patrick. You're looking into the sun. I mean, I have enough experience with recording out in the field that I've learned from the camera guys over the years. I know kind of how to stage a shot. And That's got possibilities. The wind's at my back now. Oh, I think we got visitors hiding in the bushes, literally. Someone got down the road. He broke the ice by saying, "You gotta love it." So that's the cult password. We might do this. So I can't zoom in and out, so I've got to frame this. I've got 3 minutes, right? Let me play with this here a little bit. Just like in the backyard, we need a little blue sky, don't we? I've got this little, I got the gizmo on a tripod. I got the tripod like with a towel draped around the legs and then rocks anchoring it. So it's going to take me a few minutes to get out of here once we start moving. Canyon wrens. Birders, can you tell me if that's a canyon wren? Plural? I got 2 minutes. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just a second. Don't let me forget my hammer, okay? It's right there. Well, a pleasant good evening to you all. Welcome to Frenchman Coulee in the state of Washington. My name is Nick. I teach at the college right over there behind you, about a 45-minute drive away. Kittitas County is over there. This is Grant County. So I had to cross the Columbia River to get here, and I'm so glad that you can be with us tonight. Hope that you're willing to play along with this first live stream that we've had from the field. This is live stream number 52, but they've all been at my house or in my front porch or in my backyard. But we're giving it a try out here in the field. So I've been visiting with the folks who were here ahead of time. Seems like we're doing the best that we can, audio and visual wise, so let's go ahead and begin our program. We've talked about Frenchman Coulee a fair amount. There's no substitute for being in the field, by the way. So have you been in the desert? You know that sage smell? I'm going to let you smell right now. Let me break off some fresh sage for you. Breathe deep now. Those of us that know these places well know that there's no substitute. There's just no substitute for being here. You can watch all the video programs you want. You can watch all the live streams you want. But there's no substitute for being here and getting a feel for the scale, getting your hands on this stuff, and that's the ultimate goal. But since many of us are still locked down and unable to get around, our county, by the way, opened up to phase 2 this morning, so there's a lot of celebrating in town, just making that next step and opening a few things up. So we're heading in the right direction, and I hope things feel rosy in your world as well, as rosy as can be, based on where we were a few weeks ago. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to our content. Let's go to the whiteboard first of all. Whiteboard's over here. And we'll get you situated. You're used to visiting with me in Ellensburg. Can't really see the phone right now. I'm kind of blinded. Yeah, okay. So here's my backyard in Ellensburg. We talked about the Yakima River coming out of the Cascades and getting south of Ellensburg and doing that crazy meandering story and creating the Yakima River Canyon. That's not us. I left the house about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Took me about a half an hour to drive on Interstate 90 over to a little town called Vantage. And if it was before 1927, I'd have to wait for the ferry. That's from our Bing Crosby geology lecture, right? And then a bridge was put in 1927, and then that bridge was actually taken out and moved to the Snake River. And so now there's a new bridge, quote unquote, 1960s vintage. And that got me across this major river called the Columbia River. That's it. And then I climbed and climbed and climbed and then dropped and dropped and dropped to the X. And that's where we are right now. Frenchman Coulee, USA. Now that's just to get your bearings. Let's look at a geologic map. Man, I got stuff scattered everywhere. I'm going to forget half this stuff by the time we move. I should tell you actually. So my plan, just in case we lose each other, my plan for the hour is to talk to you here for about, 10 minutes or so. Just to kind of get you established, introduce a few concepts. In fact, we've talked about the concepts already in past live streams if you're a regular. But I want to take a walk with you. I've got this gizmo, I got my backpack, I've got my whiteboard, I got everything ready to move. And I'm telling you this now because I don't know if we'll be in contact for a part of the hike. But I know that at the end of the hike up on top, we'll have good coverage. So 10 minutes of me here, walking for about, 15, 20 minutes, talking as we go, but pretty much walking most of the way. Maybe I'll even shut my mouth on occasion and just let you enjoy the scenery. Then we'll definitely talk up on top, and I'll point out a couple things. I even have a prop in my backpack. And then depending on the time and I think we'll do some live Q&A up on top. And then if we feel like we're still functional, I'll probably keep you going in the live stream as we come back down to this point. And yeah, so I'm thinking an hour-ish. Hopefully you'll be wanting to join us the whole way. You're probably anxious to go right now, but I feel like it's important to lay out a couple of things for newbies to the concept or newbies to the Coulee in particular. Here's an old geologic map that I love using. Oh boy. I'm flying blind now, okay? Hopefully you can see this. So Ellensburg is in this yellow, that's a bunch of alluvial material, river rocks that filled the valley long ago. I followed this old road. Actually, I didn't. Interstate 90 isn't even on this map. That's amazing. So these are the old roads from 1960 before they put in the freeway. And my point is, you see this pattern here that's kind of orange with a bunch of red V's? That's the basalt lava rock that you see behind us here. That's the basalt. That's the German chocolate cake. And Frenchman Coulee, if I can get out of my own shadow, is one of these basalt lava rock notches, and the other one is called Ancient Lakes. That's what locals call it. It's technically called Potholes Coulee. So Potholes Coulee and Frenchman Coulee are both places where the Ice Age floods came from the east and carved major waterfalls. Waterfalls? We're going to see a waterfall today? No, we are not, because this place was a waterfall during the Ice Age and during the Missoula Floods. It's dry now. This is a desert. We might even see a rattlesnake or two. You never know. Let me give you a specific map to show where we are standing and where we are headed with our little hike. I'm going to pause and ask, are we okay? Are we still streaming okay? Pause in the comments. 5x5 says Andrew. Okay, okie dokie. Great. Okay, good. Thank you. So let's see if I can work off the reflection in my camera face. Okay. So this is so look at how close Interstate 90. You know what? Hang on. Dale, you're gonna hurl now. All right, let's see if this works a little better for my handouts for you. This works better for me, maybe for you too. So this is Interstate 90, and I don't know how many millions of people zip by this place every day, every hour, and have no idea this coulee is here. It's not a major tourist destination, and I'm kind of thankful for that, selfishly. This place is known among the rock climbing community. There's rock climbers over there right now. It's known among geologists and birders and native plant people and rattlesnake research people. There's some dens here. But otherwise, it's a low-key spot, and we are grateful for that. So, you are... Yeah. So you see that number 3 with a red circle around it? That's our goal for our little hike. And currently we are north of that. But I want you mainly to notice that there are 2 major canyons here, and look at their shape. Look at this horseshoe shape to the cliffs and how they open up to the Columbia River. Is it clear to you where the waterfalls are now? There was a waterfall here and there was a waterfall here. And we're hiking to this waterfall. We're going to stand right on top of the waterfall where the waterfall was going right over the cliff and plunging down into the plunge pool. And the water's gone, but that plunge pool is still there. What you guys doing? So that's our destination, and I hope just from looking at this kind of a map you can see how unique the landscape is and how a geologist, I don't know, J. Harlan Bretz back in 1922 would notice that geometry and say something unusual happened here. I don't think I want to do much more here except one more thing. Those are 2 rock climbers that are just leaving, so we may have the whole hike to ourselves. I think I've showed you this before, but here's a general sense of how exposed the German chocolate cake in here. There's a dozen, you can count them better than I, there's a dozen maybe lava flows, one on top of another, that we would not see if it wasn't for the Ice Age floods, digging deeply into the German chocolate cake and exposing these basalt lava flows. And yes, we do have very specific names for specific lava flows here in Frenchman Coulee. If you're a regular, you'll recognize these names. Frenchman Coulee, I parked the car, and we're pretty much still standing right where that stick person is. And so the columns that you see behind me, and we'll get good looks at those columns the whole way. You're looking at the Roza flow. Is everybody buffering? Is everybody buffering? Good, thank you. So the major cliff former here is one particular lava flow called the Roza lava flow. And if you're saying, well, that sounds familiar to me, the Roza. Yeah, the Roza is one of those lava flows that forms beautiful columns. And that's one of the main reasons that we're here. We're going to actually get a chance to see some beautiful rock columns, I promise, in just a couple of minutes. Test question for you. There's another lava flow that has beautiful columns as well, the Elephant Mountain flow, which is significantly younger than the Roza. We don't see any Elephant Mountain lava here at Frenchman Coulee. It never got this far west. But we went to a different place called Drumheller Channels, we would see both the Elephant Mountain lava and the Roza. My question to you is, what analogy did we use? What food product did we use to use as a reminder of what these Roza columns look like? I'll ask that first. What food product did we use as a food analog for the Roza lava flow, the one above my bushy head? Oh, I'm seeing both answers. So I'm asking for Roza, and then I'll ask a similar question. What food did we use for the columns of the Elephant Mountain? The columns look different. Okay, I think we'll leave that one open. We'll let you guys fight over it. Okay, when we get a little closer, I'll show you my prop. I either have Tootsie Rolls or crinkle cut French fries in my pack. One's going to taste real good. One's not going to taste real good. I hope I brought the one that tastes good, but you don't know until we take a little hike. I think we're ready to go, don't you? I think we're ready to go. Talk amongst yourselves. Let me give you a nice scenic shot as I pack up. I'll let you listen to the canyon wrens. I assume that's what they are until somebody tells me differently. It'll take me 2 minutes to get stuff into my pack and then we'll go. So glad you're with us tonight. Oh, my hammer, my hammer. Actually, this is probably a good place to do that. No, that stuff's too rotten. We're gonna find a better place. I need a good, clean piece of Roza that just pings. This stuff's got too many fractures. It's got too much weathering. It's got a little bit of lichen on it. It's not as good as it could be. So we'll break open some Roza a little bit further on. So the hammer goes in. We don't need that map. I don't think we're even taking the whiteboard. We'll get this stuff on the way back to the car. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm a guy that always has to walk around and make sure I haven't left anything. So give me another 20 seconds. Leaving the whiteboard, that was not even worth it. Don't even know why I brought it. Okay, I'll remember to get that. Rocks away. Oh, the towel. I got to bring the towel. I got to keep my eye on you. I don't want you to blow over. All right, now get in the shade so I can see what I'm doing. So ideally, this is going to be like walking in my neighborhood like we did before. Goodbye, whiteboard. I'll see you later. That's an inanimate object. I don't think my whiteboard speaks English. So I'll take a walk. I think it's 3 bars right here. So I'm just going to take a walk and then I'll check in with you and get a little report on how we're doing visual-wise. Okay, I'm in the shadows, so I can actually read what you're saying. Are we doing okay right now? We have almost 1,000 people. I don't want to waste your time, but I don't want to do this if we're not communicating. Doing good? Okay. You're looking to the northeast right now. You can see a white van, and there's my blue van parked next to it. You can see some beautiful single row of columns. I wish I could zoom for you, but I'm not going to at the moment. Do you see above those other vehicles off to the right of the curvy road? That's called the Feathers locally. That's a very famous place to rock climb. And we'll talk more about the Roza columns, but the Ice Age floods plucked almost all of those columns away except for that single row. It's almost impossible to believe. And then that big canyon to your left, can I swing over there a little bit? We're starting to lose some of it. You're looking down into Frenchman Coulee right now. You're pretty much looking north right now. So if you happen to be on Google Earth or Google Maps right now in a different window, you're looking north from Agatha Tower across the floor of Frenchman Coulee, and we'll have a different look down into a coulee from above, but right now we're kind of looking at it at eyeball level. Okay, Frenchman Coulee, you're looking at it right now. Now, before I leave, are we still good? I'm not going to ask anymore, I think. I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to assume we're functional. Yes, it's a square canyon. It really looks like. Vertical walls, horizontal floor, no river. Was a puzzle to geologists for a long, long time. Okay, I still don't like the camera having a mind of its own, or the gizmo, but away we go. I'm going to try to keep you so that you can see some of the skyline. This is a nice shot off to the left. Let's see if I can give it to you. I'm a rookie driver of this thing. You're going to have to be patient with me. So that's the Roza. Look at those wonderful patterns. Look at those wonderful fractures. Yes, you're seeing colors. That's lichen, which I don't know anything about. But it's the patterns here. We don't have, that's the Roza flow, but we don't have columns here. And there's a reason for that, which I have a diagram to show you when we stop next. Just put that in the back of your mind. Why would we have Roza but no columns right here? Is there really a part of the Roza that doesn't have columns? And the answer is yes. So like I said, this will be about I don't know, if I don't stop, it'll be a 20-minute walk. I'll probably have to stop a couple times just to do a little bit of teaching. This is a place I take a lot of people of all ages. It's public land. You don't need any permission to be here, even in these weird times. Oh, we got some friends here. Can you... Well, I lost you, and now maybe I have you back. I'm going to hike, and I'm since I have you just for the moment. Okay, I crossed through the tough spot. Are you still with us? I think we might be okay the rest of the way. I'm going to get into the shade a little bit here somewhere so I can read your comments, but it looks like we're functional again. You get to hear my heavy breathing, aren't you lucky? Like most of you, my whole fitness routine is off. I usually swim 4 mornings a week, do some weight training with a friend. Nothing for 10 weeks or whatever it's been. Feeling it. Okay, I think we're back. Can I check with you? I think we might be good the rest of the way, but let me just double check. If you are having fuzziness, it may be you. If you go down to your gear icon in the lower right, play with it, and select a different resolution, I think you might be okay. Yeah, that little hole we crossed through is always a trouble spot. So we're looking up still at the Roza flow, and you're saying, I don't see those columns, man. I don't see those columns. Were you just making up the columns? And by the way, I'm going to be coy till we get to the top. I don't know if you want to vote again or not. Does the Roza have crinkle cut French fry columns, or does the Roza have Tootsie Rolls? This is a nice trail. Works for pretty much people of all ages. I've taken groups with people in their 70s and even 80s, and as long as we go nice and slow, we can take a group of, I don't know, 60 or 70 folks. And this trail continues, but we're gonna bushwhack over here to the right. I think I will pause here and help you see that we have still the Roza now, but looks like what we have on the lower half of the frame, you can see some hint of columns, can't you? And let's go over there. It's a good place to bang on a couple of rocks. Now, I'll give you a lay of the land here first of all. Beautiful light out here right now. There's nobody but us. And a lot of locals call this stuff down below shale rock. Because it kind of from a distance looks like shale, doesn't it? Just a bunch of slivers of things. Okay, now I'm gonna get greedy. I'm gonna try to set this up on the tripod and I'm gonna try to go over there. There's no wind at the moment. Just to be safe, I'm gonna get my blanket out and wrap it around like it's a Charlie Brown Christmas. Stabilize this little baby Christmas tree. Oh, so sweet. All right, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're swaddled in a manger right now. Okay, what I want to do is I want to go over and grab a few of these plates. I want to break them open for you, and you're not going to be able to hear me very well because the mic's on this side of the phone. I've learned that long ago. So I'll be shouting to you. No, I got a plan. Just hang on a sec. Well, there's just tons of these things. Can you hear that? I need to get a good sample for you. Right between the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Hang on, I'm not finding what I need. It's like I'm fishing right now. Well, this will have to do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be on this side of the camera so that you can hear my voice well. And then I'm going to reach around here. Oh. Ah, we don't need the macro. So can you see, first of all, that we do need the macro. Hang on. Forget it. I can't see then. Amateur hour for sure. I don't need to apologize. It's first time for everything, man. Come on, fool. It's first time for everything. So I'm hoping that you can see that there are some sparkly minerals here on the outside, the weathered surface. But what I was doing is taking this weathered surface, which is on the outside, and then breaking it open with a hammer so that we can see the crystals, the beautiful minerals that are on the inside of this basalt. And this basalt is famous for not having many minerals to identify, but what I was hunting for is some beautiful big plagioclase feldspars that are inside this Roza lava flow. It's one diagnostic way to tell the difference. If you're out here, I learned this from Jack Powell and Bob Bentley 30 years ago. You know, all these layers in the German chocolate cake look the same from a distance and even up close, really. But there's a couple of flows that you can tell in the hand sample. In other words, what I'm doing right here. There's these big orange phenocrysts about the size of my pinky fingernail. And now that I say that, I want to hunt one more time. And if I don't have any luck, oh well. Okay, it's a decent view, isn't it? Before I get in there. Let me try one more time. I don't know if you can see from here, but there's this crazy close spacing of these. The fracture set here is so tight. That's why these plates spall out like this. That's an interesting lesson. I think we're close to the top of the Roza columns, and I guess there aren't good phenocrysts in the top of the Roza columns. I didn't know that, but I think that's true. So we move on. Charlie Brown Christmas tree, apron removed. Looks like we're still streaming. And now we're going up to the top. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? We're going up to the skyline. Here we go. Did I leave anything? He looks back. He does not see anything. Okay, so we're bushwhacking. On the left, because I know how to get to the top of the horseshoe. Come on, man. Just look straight ahead. All right, time for the heavy breathing to start again. Now here's the time when somebody else in the group talks about flowers, talks about rodents, talks about snakes, talks about sagebrush steppe. You're not getting it from me, I'm sorry. We'll do an obligatory. Obligatory. Yeah, pretty sure I got my hammer. Thanks for asking. If not, I know where to look. Come on, man, we're going this way. Talking to the camera now, talking to my gadget, my gizmo. I don't know why it's so hard to just keep it straight. What we're doing is walking to the top of the Roza flow, and we're taking a spot. Well, seems like many of you are fans. You see this stuff? Let's get some light. Mount St. Helens ash. It's been sitting here for 40 years. 7 days or 8 days or whatever. It's still out here. And you're like, well, why didn't it blow away? Good question. There's just little pockets here and there that are protected from the wind. Or maybe the ash continues to get picked up and blown a little while and then taken back down. Okay, let's pause. You're now looking straight west. And the skyline is my county, Kittitas County. My backyard is right over that far ridge. And I think since the sun's pretty good now, let me try to get you over here to the left. Here's a good lesson. Sorry. Dale, or how many times have you vomited, Dale? All right. So, first of all, you might be able to hear the freeway. We're that close. You see those trees over there and a couple of houses, couple of barns. Do you see them over to the left? I can't zoom for you because I'm live streaming, but in front of that is some semi-traffic going back and forth. So that's Interstate 90, man. It's right over there. It's literally 5 minutes off the freeway. But geologically, what I want to show you, and the light is very good to see this now, if I can swing to the right. God, I do apologize. What do you notice here about the landscape? In the foreground, it's kind of exposed German chocolate cake, sagebrush, been hiking up through it. But it's not all like that, is it? Look at over here. I can't see the German chocolate cake over there. If we sprinted right now, that would take us a long time, by the way. At a full sprint, that would take us, well, it would take me, at a full sprint, 15 minutes to get over there, easily. Maybe, or conservatively, maybe a half an hour. It's quite a ways away. But if we got over there and we started just digging our hands into those hills, what are those hills made out of? The answer is not German chocolate cake. That's correct, Paula. That's loess. That's the kitchen flour. That's the loess. You might have to go back and watch the LOESS show, the loess show, the Palouse loess. But this is one of many places in eastern Washington where you can see this incredible boundary, this sharp boundary between places that were untouched by the Ice Age floods. That's what I'm saying. Those cell towers over there and those rolling hills. Can I pan again to the left? Do you see how graceful those hills are? This is a miniature version. These are the Frenchman Hills. And Ice Age floodwater, Missoula floodwater, never crossed the Frenchman Hills. Or the Saddle Mountains, for that matter. So it's a good teaching place for our students. All right. Now the light's going to be bad for you for a while because we're going straight into the sun. But you're going to have to deal with it. And I've been leading so many groups out here, there's now a trail. There never used to be a trail like this. So just parenthetically, I can say that it's not just me, of course. These public lands have been way more popular than they used to be, which is generally a good thing. It's nice to see people out enjoying public land. It's our land, you know. And I've been here 30 plus years, and back in the early days, my early days here, which is the early 1990s, I honestly don't remember running into many people. Didn't matter if it was a weekend or a weekday, morning, evening, didn't really just seem to see many people, including rock climbers, by the way. But I personally think, and I don't think I have any data to back this up, but I personally think that social media has driven a lot of this. That it's so easy to use a cell phone, snap a couple beautiful photos, put them on Instagram or Facebook or other social media channels that I'm too old to understand. And people go, where is that? I want to go see that. I want to go there. And it doesn't take much effort to find out where that is. So these places are dramatically different than they used to be. Okay, since we have another at least 5 minutes of kind of blinding sun, let's take a break and look over to the left because the sun is quite good and you might enjoy the view. And if you're a person who's concerned about my safety, I want to assure you that I've been out here I don't know how many times, and I feel very comfortable out here, and I know my limits, even as an older, portly man now. So please don't be worried. This is a very safe place to be, and I've walked this many, many times. So we're going over to the left to get a look down. And this is not the lip of the waterfall, but we're starting to get a sense of Echo Coulee. And the light is quite nice, and that was what I was hoping for here when I took you up. I knew the cell coverage would be good up here, and I thought at this time of night, this type of evening, we'd have good luck with the columns. So now that I can see your comments, I'm going to settle it once and for all. You're looking at the Roza columns. Crinkle cut or Tootsie Roll? Are you looking at crinkle cut or Tootsie Roll? And you're like, I don't think I even can tell the difference looking, but just remembering from what we did before. Crinkle cut or Tootsie Roll? I'm seeing a lot of crinkle cut, and you guys are correct. Good job. The Roza have beautiful columns. You're looking at some of them. And they're crinkle cut French fry shaped. And I'm saying these that we can see right here are not perfect. But I'm very, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Encouraged? No, I'm tempted. I can't wait. I'm anticipating what the light's going to be at the great spot to see the crinkle cut. And I'll take the crinkle cut out of my backpack that I have. But there ain't no Tootsie Rolls here. If you voted Tootsie Rolls, that was for Elephant Mountain flows, which are a different spot about an hour away. Okay, you're looking southwest right now, way in the distance. That's Baldy Mountain that towers above Yakima River Canyon. That's an aggressive hike. My wife usually makes it to the top, and I make it about 2/3 the way up. Okay, so where are we going? We're going to the main viewpoint that I like to use to see the crinkle cut French fries in all their glory. In 2012, September, I was working with the BBC in London, and that sounds more glamorous than it was. Tom Foster and I had enough stuff on YouTube by that point that producer Mags contacted me by email. Mags Lightbody, I think she may still work for BBC. And she said, I need help finding good places to film. We're going to bring over Alice Roberts. And we're going to film an Ice Age Giants series for BBC TV. And I'm like, well, that sounds good. Who's Alice Roberts? I didn't really say that, but I kind of wanted to say that because I don't watch British television. And I since found out that Alice is a very well-known presenter for BBC, a medical doctor, but she does a lot of natural science programs. She's kind of a younger female version of David Attenborough. I don't know if that's selling her short or not. But I was out here with them is my point. The camera guy, the audio guy, Alice, and Mags. And they had Alice climb some of the columns that we're going to see. And it was a real education in how a top-rate film crew from the other side of the world operated. And it says something about our landscape here that people would think highly enough about this area to film it, to put into a BBC program. And so I think of Alice and Mags and Mark, the camera guy, and I can't remember the audio guy's name. I think of them every time I bring a group over here. Because they were professionals and they were also very impressed. Well, maybe they always say that with every place they go, but they were good actors if they weren't really impressed. Okay, so you ready? Let me stop for a second. I promise I'm not going to walk over the edge. But we are walking straight ahead now, another 20 yards, and then it's going to be a sheer drop-off. And so this is the direction that the Missoula Floods were traveling and dropping into Echo Coulee. Here we go. We're walking and about to go over a waterfall in the Ice Age. hope you're enjoying this. I can't really see your comments. I see them scrolling by, but the light is wrong to read them. I'll insert comments for you. Wow, this is amazing. Oh man, beautiful. That's what I would be saying. Now, you're actually looking at a few different rock layers. And I don't think I'm going to bother with my handouts. I'm just going to do it verbally. So if you recall from a past live stream, I made a point pretty hard that the floor of these coulees are so flat and they're so dry, but mostly they're so flat because of the stubborn Grand Ronde lava. So in other words, if it wasn't for a very stubborn basalt layer in the floor of this coulee, I think this coulee would be much deeper. But the water that cascaded over this spot where you and I are standing right now dropped, I don't know, what is that? 400 feet, 500 feet maybe? And didn't have much luck digging into that Grand Ronde. But look at all these layers on the left. Rows are the beautiful columns, and there's there's layers below that are older that are also there. And those layers, I'm going to pan now for you, those layers continue over there, but the sun is wrong to see them. So think of how many crinkle-cut French fries got ripped out of here. I'm yelling now because I'm excited, even though I've been up here a million times. All of those columns, all those closely packed pencils were swept out of here by a multiple series of Missoula floods and dumped into the Columbia River. Now, you can't see the Columbia, but the Columbia River is, how can I describe it to you? Do you see the floor of this, you're looking into Echo Coulee. Frenchman Coulee's to your right, you can't see it. So you're looking in the floor of Echo Coulee, and then do you see in the distance there's a few big milk duds out there? And then just past the milk duds, you kind of change from a light green to kind of a battered gray. The Columbia River is down low between the pale green and the battered gray. Maybe you can follow that. But if I swing back over here where the light is good, if you've been out in the field a bunch with field trips, you know that different time of day, different time of the year, you've got good light, you got bad light, you just work with the perspective you can find. So I want you to see that we have a beautiful mesa. Do you see that kind of beautiful tabletop that's over there? So the Roza, which are these columns, are totally gone, but that mesa is left. And then above the Roza, there's another layer above the Roza, but below the loess. Do you see it? It's that kind of dirty white stuff. I'm trying to point to it right now. That's an old lake bed from the German chocolate cake time. That's called diatomaceous earth, and it's 15 million year old material. So we're looking at two very different times here. The basalt and the diatomaceous layer are from 16 million years ago. And then the loess up here on the top got blown in during the Ice Age, and then of course all these columns got hauled off during the Ice Age. I'll walk you over to the best place to see the crinkle cut, but the light is absolutely wrong. I'm a little surprised, but I guess it's worth going over there anyway. And it's almost 7, so I think it's time for you to start thinking about what you want to ask me. I think I'll try to get in a little bit of hole up here so we can get out of the wind just a bit. But I feel to complete our journey, I need to at least make sure that you can know where to come back up here in the morning. Or I walked out here with my parents about, oh God, what was that, 10 years ago, 8 years ago? And they couldn't believe this place. And my dad was, 78 or something, so his knees weren't working that well. But he took his time. It was a very cold December morning. There was frost everywhere. But oftentimes in the wintertime, the light is so low that this place is even more dramatic than now. Well, we can kind of see it. Not really, though. So this is where we filmed with Alice. You might have to Google her. Alice Roberts, BBC. Kind of looking back to where we came from, if you can kind of see there's a big hole right in there. That's Frenchman Coulee. So this wall that we're about to look at, you can see a few of the crinkle. Okay, not bad. You can see a few. You can't see the obvious wall that we usually look at. We usually stop here and have a little picnic and eat our Skittles and have a discussion about these columns, but we'll make do. We can see a few of them. Okay, I know where I'm going to sit now. I'm going to get out of the wind. I'm not going to sit, actually. I'm going to prop you guys up above me. All right, let's... I think that's the best I can do for you as far as... kind of like that other spot better, but this will have to do. It's almost 7. You are looking at a few of the crinkle cut fries that are lit up. Most of them, and I see a few rock climbers still enjoying the evening, are totally shaded out, so we can't see them. Oh well. I dragged this up here, so I might as well show you. Got the hammer. Weinigers. This episode of Nick from Home brought to you by Weinigers Ice Cream from Ellensburg, Washington. Chocolate Gary dough. You gotta love it. Little cloth ice thing. So each of these individual columns has this super funky crinkle cut pattern. And if I can get the camera to focus on a crinkle cut, I don't know if I can do it. But we kind of know what crinkle cut French fries are, right? You can see it now in profile in front of my face. It's not a flat surface. It's a wavy surface, in and out and in and out and in and out all the way down. If I turn it 90 degrees, there it is again, there it is again, there it is again. And I apologize, the light is not perfect, but every one of those columns has that pattern. And the geologists who have studied these call these pinch and swell columns. Like if you focus on one column, you can see that it's like an hourglass. The column gets skinny, and then it gets fat, and then it gets skinny, and then it gets fat, skinny, fat. And I think I'm still not pleased with this look, and so I'm gonna when we're done here and we're done doing a live Q&A, as we walk back to the car, we'll look again over across the way where the light is better, and you might be able to see the pinch and swell columns. Swell, pinch and swell. Now, that in itself is unexplainable. We don't need to get into the comments on columnar basalt again. How about those giant tree roots, huh? Pretty good. That ain't lava. We don't have to go there again. But it is important to point out that there are some things that we do not understand about these columns. And this is a key place for us to say, we don't understand. I don't know, what if I come this way? Can you? Doesn't seem any better. But I can read your questions from here. So not only, I'll just finish up with the columns. Not only are they pinching and swelling like crinkle cut French fries, but they also collectively, if you come back out here at a different time, or if you go to, Bruce Bjornstad has a YouTube channel. Have I mentioned it before? I'm pretty sure it's called Ice Age Floodscapes. YouTube channel, Ice Age Floodscapes. I noticed he had a new video posted today. But he does have a Frenchman Coulee video with his drone. All of them are drone videos. And he's got some good light on a few of those, on that wall right over there that I'm pointing to that's in the shadows for us tonight. And you can see not only the pinch and swell, but there's another set where there's kind of this diagonal, I did this, and that's wrong. There's a kind of a diagonal striping of the whole set of crinkle cut French fries. It's like, okay, we're gonna pack these guys all together? All right, well, that's fine. Sure, let's do that. Let's put them all together. Pinch and swell, pinch and swell, pinch and swell. And then it's like somebody decided, well, we're gonna, I don't have a knife. It's like the van key is gonna make like these, whoa, I got carried away. Diagonal patterns that are either on the surface or all through. I'll pick up my problems here. And it's totally unexplainable. And we've had, I don't know how many groups out here, and we have a bunch of young people who have bright minds, and they all think they can solve it in just a couple of minutes. And I love the enthusiasm. And they're expecting us to solve it before we head back to the van, and we never do, because nobody's figured it out. Okay, that was my attempt to introduce you to a few things with this beautiful light. I want to answer just a few questions the best I can quickly, and then I think I want to keep us going as we head back to the van and see if you can enjoy the light, because the light and the wind being low it's a magical evening out here. I have no idea how much battery I have left. We'll just keep going until I run out of battery, if that's even a case. Okay, now he tells himself, I'm not flipping you off. I'm going to try to scroll back to where I start seeing uppercase. Age and extent of the, okay. The Roza flow is 16 million years old. I have handouts. Let me show you a map that shows precisely where the vent for this lava flow was 16 million years ago, and how far that lava was able to get. So the brown area is the entire extent of the flood basalts that are in the inland Pacific Northwest. But this particular black line you see is the sole crack for this Roza flow. And you can see the Roza flow was heading towards the Columbia Gorge and made it kind of to the Dalles and ran out of material. And we've mapped out the extent of each of those flows. Thank you. Now I notice I got to keep scrolling back because I keep losing my place. That's okay. I'm a pro. Oh man, there's too many questions now. That's impossible. Are the Frenchman Hills a fold covered with loess or just loess? There's a fold there, Aaron. It's an anticline that's mantled in loess, so there's both. Oh, I can. Oh, good. I can keep track here. From the parking lot to where you are now, how long is the hike? Zarina, I encourage you to come out here. My parents did it in their late 70s. And to answer your question, it's a casual stroll, half an hour. It's if you're not a major hiker, it's an easy hike to take of people of all backgrounds and all abilities. I don't know who the Frenchman was, why it's called Frenchman Coulee. Do you need to worry about rattlesnakes out there? Been there, but always concerned about hiking cross country. Larry, let's put it this way. I grew up in Wisconsin. There aren't any rattlesnakes back there. My first summer working in Idaho, I lived alone in the mountains, in the desert with rattlesnakes everywhere I turned, and I was freaked out. And I saw rattlesnakes every day. I even stepped on a couple by mistake. They don't bother you. They rattle before you arrive. They let you know where they are. You just stop and you start walking a different direction. They don't come hunt you down or anything like that. They live here and they're interesting animals. And I always have students or groups out here that are very concerned, but I try to just say, hey, there's rattlesnakes that live here. We'll probably see a couple. Just stop where you're walking, walk someplace else, and we'll just keep going. And I don't know if that works, but we've never had an incident. And I've had thousands of people out here at all times of the year, including high rattlesnake season. Looking forward to my next field trip. Well, thank you. I don't know how this one's going. How do you trace a lava flow to a particular vent? There's many ways to do it, Brad. One way is to actually find volcanic spatter, if you can find it, to prove that's where the lava was being thrown up into the sky. There's also geophysical ways to find the underground vertical wall of basalt. I'm freelancing now here, folks. I'm just scrolling back like I'm playing some sort of video game, which I don't play, so that was even a dumb thing to say. Helen, the floor of Frenchman Coulee has big boulders on it, the milk duds. Are they dropped basalt or erratics rafted in from elsewhere? Good question. Yeah, the light's pretty good now. Do I dare send you over there? The light's getting better and better to see the milk duds. You can kind of see them out there. If the milk duds are really close to the base of the cliff, that's obviously a vote for just some basalt that fell off the cliff since the Ice Age. But when you have milk duds, you know, I don't think there's a rule necessarily, but if you're more than 50 yards away, then it has to be, doesn't it? It has to be an Ice Age flood story. Well, that even doesn't nail it down, because were they rafted in from a faraway distance, or is it just basalt milk duds that kind of came from the floor of the waterfall and got sent out there? And some of those are big, Helen. Some of those are big old boys that have been out there since the Ice Age. So they're definitely Ice Age out there by themselves, but difficult to say ice rafted or flood tumbled. Everybody's talking about Patrick asking a good question. I don't know if I can find it, Patrick. I'll try. Oh, somebody wants to do a Saddle Mountains trip tomorrow night? Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to think about that. Let's give you a decent background again here. Our light's getting a little better. We'll try a couple more and then we'll walk. I'll tell you what, I'm to the live comments, so if you got a question you love, why don't you just type it in again and I'll just try to catch it that way. I'm just gonna wait. There's a little delay. Here it is. Patrick, what did you think about the first time you took this hike and saw this place? Is this close to where you filmed stuff with Tom Foster? I love you. This is so awesome. Thank you, Patrick. I was here with Tom Foster. We filmed a couple of 2-minute geology videos. If you find a 2-minute geology video called What is a Coulee? We filmed it right over there. Tom Tabbert, the guy who flies an ultralight, flew over this while we were on the ground. That was memorable. What did I think of this place for the first time? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was going to be teaching at a school that was 45-minute drive from a place like this. And like many of these places out here, you really, I don't want to say it this way, but you can't get the full power, of course, until you're actually out here and you can smell it and you can feel it and you can get a feeling for the scale. That goes for any big, impressive places. But maybe this live stream is a close second for some of you, or at least an introduction to places that we have very close to us here from central Washington. Why is the St. Helens ash on the surface there, but it's a foot deep in Ellensburg by the water tank? Yeah, I see what you're saying. A bunch of you were blown away. Ha ha. A bunch of you were very surprised there was 12 inches of loess on top of that fine St. Helens ash over in Ellensburg. I can't prove it, but I attribute it to we have a lot of agriculture in our valley. And there's a lot of plowing, and there's a lot of wind erosion of topsoil off of those fields. And so I think there's a lot of loess accumulating on top of the St. Helens ash in our valley because of the ag. And out here there's not as much ag, not as much wind erosion. Now, I'm no specialist, but that's my case. It's an observation for sure. There is not 12 inches of loess. There's not any loess on top of this ash out here. Back that ash up. Why 2 cataracts at a time? Barry, I've asked that question about all the experts I can find. You saw that map here. So you are here, and Barry's saying, why do you have this horseshoe-shaped carved cliff and this one? Why do you have a pair? Why don't you just have one? And the same pair is found at ancient lakes. The same pair is found up by the Great Blade in the Grand Coulee, and then next door, the same, you can find that pair all over the time. I've never had, well, I have had good answers. I don't understand them. I'm not bright enough. But it's a math and physics thing about, I can't even do it probably. You have a cliff that's got a curve to it. You have vectors, I'm making it up now, vectors of high velocity flow in the water. There's certain points along that rim because of the geometry and the math where the cutting power is more severe than someplace next door. And so you kind of have these natural funneling places where you cut. That's a garbage answer, but it's the best I can do. I can hear some people. Have you ever been out to a place like this, especially this time of night? You can hear sounds from a mile or more away. Have you experienced that before? It's amazing. I'm sure I'm yelling and they can hear me across the coulee. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's still some climbers over there. So I should keep my voice down. I'm not flipping you off. Oh, it's 7:15. 2 more and I'm done, I promise. I'm having too much fun out here and it's such a beautiful evening. I'm looking live. How many ice age cycles to remove all that rock? Tough to answer that, Rob. It's safe to say there wasn't one flood that removed all this rock. We have evidence of about a dozen floods that came down the Grand Coulee, filled Quincy Basin, overtopped Quincy Basin, and came into Frenchman Coulee. So the only way to answer that is at least a dozen floods. And as we've discussed in past live streams, the position of this waterfall rim migrates back as you continue to take stuff out. Here's the last question. Did the basalt intrude into any visible material in the coulee? Did the basalt intrude into any visible material? Intrude into any visible material? I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. I'm going to ask another one. I'm going to wait for another one. I'm sorry. That doesn't register with me. You can see the crinkle behind me now. Where did everything get washed away to? The best way to answer that is you can think of a crinkle cut. It's not quite a Tootsie Roll, but it's still, as soon as you pluck, actually this is a great way to see it now. So imagine there's water coming over the cliff right here. And it definitely came over the cliff out here in the open space, right? There used to be columns right over there where I'm pointing. They're not there anymore. But imagine the next flood is coming. It's not, but the next flood is coming and we're going to come over this. We're going to pluck that whole column away. We're going to take that one lonely crinkle cut and we're just going to hydraulically lift it, pull it away from the rest of the fries. And I would say immediately that crinkle cut is going to get broken into segments. Because you saw at our last stop, remember how fractured that basalt was? Those fractures run, you can maybe even see the shadows. You can see some horizontal fractures inside of the crinkle cuts. So the first way to answer is where did all this stuff go is it ceases to be a column almost immediately, as soon as it's pried away from the cliff. And then it's broken into blocks the size of me, and then it's broken, each of those me's is broken into pieces the size of my pinky, and then each of those pinkies are broken, and as long as it's high velocity, that stuff is flushed out of here. But as soon as the water slows down, even a little bit, right down here where the milk duds are, the floods are taking a left-hand turn to join the Columbia River Valley. Well, if you're water on the inside of that left-hand turn, you're going to slow down. You might even stop. You're going to drop a bunch of the basalt even right there. So much of this material that's been taken out of here is in scattered graveyards all the way from here to the Pacific. And yes, I suppose plenty of it was brought all the way out to the Pacific. Okay, I gotta stop because I still want to walk with you heading back towards the van to enjoy the light. Thank you for your questions. I'm so pleased that this appears to be working. And I think I'll do a sign off now and a toast to you now. And then if you want to stick around on the walk back, of course you are welcome to, until I go dead battery-wise. So please join us tomorrow night if you're interested. Tomorrow night is Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, Saddle Mountains. I'm not sure if I'll be down at the Saddle Mountains or if I'll be back at the house. Not sure. Saturday morning, George Otis Smith, 9 o'clock in the morning. Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, Pacific Northwest Tectonic. Pacific Northwest Tectonics. A toast to you. Here's to your health. Here's to the health of your parents and your grandparents, your children and your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, all of your extended family. Here's to everyone in your community, and whether your community is your neighborhood or your town or your county or your state or your country or your planet, here's to your community and our community. Skål to you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Sure do appreciate it. I hope this turns out okay in replay, but seems like it's working, so I'm pleased, and I hope that you're pleased too. Good night from Frenchman Coulee, Washington State, USA. I love you. Okay. I gotta clean up my garbage. I learned last time not to eat my French fries that are raw, frozen. That was a terrible experience. think a few friends might be back at the vehicle to say hi. Pleased with everything except that face. Can't have everything. Oh, and I couldn't find the orange Plagioclase phenocryst. I guess they're just at the bottom. I never really thought about that, but I don't see them up here either. Oh, I didn't even talk about Entablature versus Colonnade. There's still 150 of you, so I've already packed up my diagram, but the bottom half of this Roza flow has beautiful columns because that is the lower colonnade, but the upper half of this Roza flow loses its columns and has this chaotic fracture set called Entablature. Hey! A little wren right here to greet us. So if you Google Colonnade and Entablature, you'll see what I mean. And the Roza flow, oh, that's a beautiful wren. Very ballsy. Let's see if I can get him for you. Can you see him right there? There. Oh, I just poked him. Okay, I'm checking for garbage. I got my rock hammer. Yeah, it's a pleasant wren. There was a phone call coming in from Matt Karsten. Declined the call. That's why we lost streaming there. Pretty good shot, huh? Pretty good shot. Yeah, I agree. That's a nice view, and the light's about perfect right now. Matt, don't call me anymore, please. Oh, we got company. How's it going? You're perfect. I'm just live streaming here. I'll be moving in just a second. You're good. Where are you guys from? Nice. Well, welcome. That's maybe the best shot I got for you right there. This episode of Nick from Home brought to you by iPhone 11 or 13, I forget, but looks pretty good for me. I don't know about for you. Maybe you can see some of the crinkle cut, but you can't quite see the diagonal stripes even still. Okay, we gotta start heading back. I'm impressed those gals found this. If they're from Idaho, they're adventurous. All right, we got 800 people. I'll be curious how many are still with us once we get back to the car. Probably be 15, 20 minute dry walk. What the heck? I got money, I got data, let's just do it. Can't be that expensive to do this, can you? How much does data cost? Well, I'll skip a meal tomorrow. How about that? You're watching this from Finland in the middle of the night? Or maybe it's early morning by now, I don't know. You're getting a lot more wind, I'll bet. Or maybe I'm sprinting. Maybe that's why you're hearing wind. Maybe I'm going full throttle. Maybe that's what I'm doing. I think you know better than that. I got my PF flyers on, but hey now. Shot of the Liss Hills. Very good shot, actually. That light is bringing that up pretty well. I don't know, that always really impresses me. I don't know if it impresses you, but that immediate transition in landscapes, not that common really in other parts of the country, but here, that's what Brett's was mapping, of course, all the time. Rolling hills, and then they sharply end. And you get into this scabland material. You're looking at scabland here. Well, the young gals are up ahead of me, and now we're in the uncomfortable moment where there's an older man who says he's live streaming and he's following us with a video camera. 911. I don't know. What are you supposed to do in those situations? Really, I'm totally harmless. It doesn't No, I'm not going to turn the camera off. I've got people watching. Oh, that sounds bad. Yeah, I work for National Geographic. No, bad. Tough one. Hope they're already back to the road so we don't have to do that. I'm keeping you with us because it's usually quite attractive coming down this slope into this little gully. And now that I think about it, I think I'm going to lose you again. Once we get into this hole, I think I'm going to lose you again like we did before. And that might be the place to stop. Please turn left. Thank you. Please turn left. Please turn left. Now look down. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, we got more people coming up. Seriously. Wow, they're smart. They know the time of night to come up to see the good light. Pretty good. You? It's beautiful. Yep, you guys are smart. You got perfect light for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Like you set up for some photography?
Yeah, a little bit. Have a good time. Yeah, I'm set up for some photography. Like a boss. Fuck yeah, man. There's where we were hunting. Where we were hunting for phenocrysts. Okay, I'm probably gonna lose you when I get into the hole here, but I might be able to see you again once we get back where we started. And I'll say goodbye then. But if not, I'll say goodbye now. And thanks for watching. So I didn't expect to see so many people this evening up this high. So I don't know. We'll see if my whiteboard's still there. We'll see if my orange camping chair is still there. I don't know. They seem like wholesome people. Probably okay. Down into the... Bonus coverage. Only for VIP. Only for the hardcore of the hardcore. Yeah, whiteboard still there. Camp chair still there. I think we've got enough coverage up here to look back at the road. Well, Patrick, that is the Sunset Highway. Very good job, age 6 person. Before they built the freeway, that was the road from Spokane to Ellensburg. Can you believe it? And I think if I drop any lower, I'm going to lose you for good. This is so sporadic that I'm going to wave goodnight to you and say thank you for sticking to the very end. It sure was a pleasure to be with you out here. I'll give you one last look at the Roza and say good night from Frenchman Coulee. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Mwah!